All right.
Wait.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
No. All right.
I was just asking if my voice is okay right now.
Um.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Because I know we always have troubles.
With that being said, I might adjust everyone's volume
So
a
you
little bit.
might want to restart the live stream.
It's too late. We're
No,
already
it's
live.
fine. Yeah.
They have
yeah.
to live with
There's
it.
no turning back from here. Just like this game.
The two people who will watch this, they have to live with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll probably edit this whole part out, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave this in. Torture people with it.
You'll never know.
Yeah. But yeah, it sounds all right. All right. So we're talking about Quantum Break today. Initial release date, April 5th, 2016. Developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by Microsoft Studios. Costs $40 or your regional equivalent, or if you're like us who bought it on sale for $20, or how much was it? Like $10?
15 or 20, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Platforms, Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, Windows 10. And the description is from Remedy Entertainment. The masters of cinematic action games comes Quantum Break, a time-amplified, suspenseful blockbuster. The Quantum Break experience is part game, part live-action show, where decisions in one dramatically affect the other. All right. So, yeah.
Thoughts? Thoughts on the game?
So when I played it, actually, like, I didn't look up anything about this game, like, not even any videos. I just, like, saw a couple screenshots on Steam, and then I chose the game for us to play. So I went into it blind, not expecting anything, or not having any expectations. And I'd say in the end, it turned out to be a pretty fun game, and I liked a lot of it, actually. So it was surprising.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, me, on the other hand, I have wanted to play this game basically since it was first released, and I've known a lot about it, and I only played the first act up until this point, and a little bit into the second act. I think that it's a game that one day I will get to and play it and really enjoy it, but right now I just could not find any part of me that wanted to play the game. On multiple occasions, I sat down, started playing, and quit after 10 minutes because I was so not into it. And I don't think it's the game, I think it's me.
All right. So, yeah, I did finish this game. There are Mitch only played the first act and a little bit of the second. There are 5 acts or chapters or whatever you want to call them in this game. They each take about an hour-ish, maybe a little bit more. I probably rushed through it a little bit quickly, but this was probably this was a bad game for me. Not necessarily a bad game, but a bad game for me, because I'm one of those kind of people that just doesn't like generic kind of sci-fi shows, and I feel like that was this game, but in a game. And I kind of had to force myself to play this game to get it actually finished. And I didn't really even get into it until like the last couple of chapters. And then I kind of started connecting with some of the characters and it was like, okay, I'll finish this out. But for so much of it, I just didn't care at all. I thought so much of it was so stupid.
You actually hit it on the nail with being the generic sci-fi show, but in a video game form.
Yeah.
Yeah. That does very much kind of seem to describe it, which is part of the reason I picked it, because I like generic sci-fi show stuff. Like, I'm really into sci-fi, and I really liked some of the ideas that this game presented prior to me actually playing it. But for me, playing it was not as interesting, and I just could not. I think if I'd actually given it enough time to sit down and get through most of it, I could enjoy it, but I just really could not do that at all.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those kind of games that's like that I would say like skirts the line between being a TV show and a game, but this one like leans way harder towards a TV show because it literally has like
A TV
45
show?
Yeah, because it literally has like 20 to 30 minute episodes of live action footage between each of the chapters. And we'll definitely get into more of that later, along with like some of the choices that you can make. But we're going to try to talk about like the gameplay.
Talk about what is the game? What is Quantum?
Yes, it's a third-person shooter, and you have a number of abilities that you can get throughout the game. Getting them isn't really an option, but you can upgrade them. You can find various guns and shoot people with them. You can punch people with your time punch. That's one thing that kind of annoyed me, is I hate when sci-fi just tacks on like, oh, it's a quantum punch or something like that. Like, have you guys seen the most recent Ant-Man movie?
I have not.
No.
They do that a lot. They like tack the word quantum onto a lot of different parts to make it sound more sciencey, and someone actually makes a joke about it at some point.
Someone told me about all this. Maybe it was you earlier.
Yeah, I think I did, yeah. But yeah, like I'm bitching about it kind of, but I do actually think some of the abilities are pretty cool. Like,
I didn't know it was a quantum punch. I thought it was just a regular punch. For some reason, enemies.
I'm kind of exaggerating that. I mean, you've got like your time rush, you've got your time vision, you've got time stop, time dodge, time focus, time shield, time blast, time run. And I do think some of those are kind of cool, like how you can slow down time and run up to somebody and punch them, or you can like put somebody in like a time stop bubble and then you can shoot them a bunch and it'll just wreck their shit. I did think all of that was pretty cool. And I think the effects and stuff for this game look pretty nice. I think the art in general for this game was really good, but it also brings it to kind of an area that I wrote down that I feel like the environment is way less interactive than I wanted it to be.
I would say that the areas that I were in, even though I only played one act, definitely felt way more linear than I wanted them to be.
Yeah, they do feel super linear. Like,
I don't think the game would work as well if it was linear. Or if it wasn't linear.
Yeah, I understand why it's linear, but I just wish that they definitely tried to like do some things to make it feel less linear and more interactive. Like they pepper these story items throughout the environment that you can interact with, and it does make the environment feel a little bit more lived in, but for so much of the game I just did not care about. Actually, almost the entire game I didn't care about these story items. I wanted the environment to tell the story. I didn't want to have to read through 50 emails to like figure out the backstory. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Like how it's sometimes it's weird because it's a good way to talk about a lot of the background of the story, and they try to make it realistic. Like, oh, it's these two people who are emailing back and forth on their computers or something. But at the same time, like having to read all their text, and usually it's sometimes quite a bit. And I don't know, after like 10, it gets really tedious.
I feel like having that stuff is really good, and it like helps to build the world. But I would agree it's super tedious, and I wish there was some other way that they incorporated it better. Like,
well, they actually do in a few spots. Like, I don't know if you got to these parts yet, but there are parts where you can like, I think it's later in the game because you don't get this ability until later in the game, where you actually like rewind time, and you can actually see like people walking through the environment and talking to each other. And I think that's much better than forcing you to sit through and read a bunch of boring crap.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I never actually saw that,
but they don't do it nearly as often because it's more than likely way easier to just put a bunch of books around the environment.
Yeah, it's a lot easier game, like production wise, just writing text rather than having all these animations for stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why they didn't do it as often, which sucks. But what sucks about like that is, slight spoiler, like near the very end of the game, there's a little text thing for more like lore, and I'd say it's like one of the most important things in the game. And I just happened to randomly click on it just because I felt like I was near the end. Because for a while I haven't clicked on
you just kind
any of them after halfway through. Yeah. So I just happened to get lucky to click it, and it just like I can't believe I almost missed it, because it would have revealed a huge like lore, pretty much, story wise, that was actually really crucial. But I could have easily missed it. And I'll say what it is once we get to the end, because I'm curious if you saw it, Zach.
I more than likely did not.
Yeah.
But
So that'll be interesting. But anyways, Mitch, how many abilities do you get after Act 1? Kind of
I
forgot.
was looking through the list, and I think I had everything except for Time Run. I think I had just gotten Time Blast, but I'd barely used it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you definitely get Time Blast by. It's because like some abilities are like alternative versions of other abilities. Like Time Blast is basically just the better version of Time Stop, kind of like a different version. Time Dash is Time Dodge is just like Time Run, except you hold the button down.
What abilities have you used the most, Zach?
I definitely use Time Run a bunch just because it's super good for just if you're pinned down.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can just take somebody out if you run up to them and punch them.
Seems like it would be a pretty good ability.
I definitely used like Time Shield a bunch on like the bigger guys, or Time Shield in Time Blast.
The little bit I was playing, I definitely was not using Time Shield enough. I was using the Time Stop probably mostly.
Yeah, eventually you'll hit like stronger enemies, and Time Shield really saves your life in those. So eventually you'll use it more. But yeah, I found myself using like Time Run and Time Dodge the most, just because like when you use them and then right click to aim in, it like slows down and gives you a bit of a time to like line up a headshot or something. So I use those like most of the time.
Yeah. Something that I wish did happen more is like this game seems to like have like a really basic bitch stealth system, and it was really like kind of a funny towards the center of the game. It's like so many times in the game you just bust through a door and there's guys in there, but they don't see you, and you're just like hiding while that you listen to them talk about something because they're like giving you some of the story. And it happened so much that by like kind of the middle of the game I was like, this is just, I don't know, it was such a trope. But I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. He does like this also like weird crouch run, which I can't tell if he's just crouching from bullets or just like crouching to not be seen. But I wish there was a slight more like stealth system in the game, because like even though I'm like running low and way in the dark, like as soon as I'm sort of in their vision, even though showing like 1/10 of my body, they just see me instantly from like really far away, which is annoying.
Yeah. Also, just like some of the bigger areas just really reminded me of like the Hitman games, and just kind of made me want to play those games, because those games have so much like depth to like the combat and like the stealth mechanics and all of the mechanics, and it made me think that this game feels very kind of stiff and linear, and the environment just feels super static, because in Hitman you use the environment a ton to your advantage, whether you're like getting objects to use to kill the enemies or using the environment to hide bodies or all that, and it just kind of made me want to play Hitman.
Yeah, I can see that through like some of the college parts and all that. Yeah, I can kind of see that. One thing I didn't really like is the abilities upgrades.
I didn't use the upgrades at all.
Yeah, I didn't know there were upgrades in the game for like the longest time, until like I randomly fell upon one of the skill things that increases whatever ability you have.
Did they like not explain it, and then it's just that you don't know they exist?
It kind of just popped up for me at one point, and it's like I found it like kind of late in the game, probably like the third act. Like
Yeah,
where you were actually when I was going to the party, and I just found one of them, and it was like, hey, this is a thing that you can grab, and you can upgrade abilities with it. And I'm like, what?
That's
Dumb.
When it happened to me, it also happened like real late in the game. And when I first found it, I thought that was the first time it was introduced to me, these upgrades. And I was like, cool, now I can upgrade my stuff after I have everything to keep evolving the game as I keep playing. But then I realized some of the upgrades cost a shitload of those things that you have to find.
Plus, they're like pretty hard to find. They're almost invisible until you're like right next to them.
Yeah.
I found my first one in Act 2, Part 1, because that's all I played. But I found one right early in that warehouse area, but I stopped playing pretty soon after that.
Yeah, I didn't really explore because like it was such a linear game that I just kept following the waypoint.
Yeah,
So
same.
I didn't find one until a long time. I think like at the end of Act 3. And there's not that many acts in the game. There's only like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more than halfway done.
We kind of through the gameplay. Do we want to start talking about story?
We can talk more about, I don't know, do we want to talk about the like guns or like just the basic gist of the gameplay at all?
Sure. All the guns are garbage. Don't use any of them except the heavy machine gun, the shotgun, and
Holy shit, you
like
played just like me?
Yeah, heavy machine gun, shotgun, and if you need to do like mid-range combat, use assault rifles until you run out of ammo, and then use the pistol.
I didn't play enough, but all I really used the entire time was assault rifles as long as I had ammo, or shotguns.
Yeah,
then whatever else was left over after that.
I could not find a good weapon that I liked.
All the weapons kind of felt boring.
I think
ones
I
I
used
tried.
I think I used the heavy pistol, the sniper rifle whenever I could get it, and then the light machine gun whenever I could get it. And then I just like could not care about the like rifles. I think I always went for like one of the SMGs. So they actually shot really fast and did okay. So
yeah, I feel like when you have games like these where you're dealing with like super advanced technology, like you can throw in a couple of guns that do some like interesting stuff. Like it's kind of my same argument with Destiny. Like you've got space magic, and the gun you're adding in the new expansion is a bow. It's like, come on. It's like you got fusion rifles, and that's like the only mildly interesting thing.
Yeah, I guess the only like sort of special weapons they had was like the weapons that could actually shoot when the time fractures happen and time stops.
I mean, that's all the guns, isn't it?
Yeah, they could have easily made some sort of, I don't know. Yeah, some cool rifles.
Honestly, surprises me to find out that there weren't any cool guns since I didn't play the rest of the game. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could definitely have some energy weapons, like some lasers, or like a time gun or a rail gun or something like that. I mean, come on, you can do that. All right, what else?
We can talk about the art, visuals.
All I have to say for that is it's pretty generic. Like it just kind of goes for realism. I'd say the one thing I did like is the characters in the game are exactly like the characters that are playing them.
Oh yeah, they did.
I mean, that's it's gotta make sense since like they play an episode.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job. Like obviously, they put a lot of work into like making their faces like move around when they're talking and stuff. So there's a lot of like facial animation and probably mocap work that went into that, and I think it works out. It makes the game very nice and cinematic and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to point out with the art is I really liked the kind of like fractal effects that they used. Like all of that stuff was really cool, and like the ground was like kind of like a hologram of itself, like broken up into triangles and stuff. Sometimes, like I think a lot of the stuff, the effects around the time travel or time breaking was really interesting.
Yeah, I love the effects of those. I loved using the time stop ability just to like look at it and how it's like messing with what's on the other side vision wise.
Yeah.
Just the effects of it were really clean in my opinion.
I think definitely overall, like majority of the art style was just trying to go realistic, and so obviously there's not much to go on with that. But the actual effects, all the effects at the time, looked really cool.
Mm-hmm. Too bad can't really talk more about the art.
That's about it. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Nothing unique like some indie game or something.
I do think one thing I did notice, like I said, the environments were super static, and I do think that, but they did put a lot of work into the environments, and I think the environments looked really good. Like the area that you're at initially with the campus and all the like labs and stuff, they all feel very good.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like overall, it's very solid. Like the art it's good. It's just that there's not a lot to talk about stylized wise.
Yeah. And since you're putting it along with like live action shit, I can understand why you don't stylize it that much.
Honestly, I felt like the effects for the time breaking in the TV show were so much worse than the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did feel like a cheap CGI sometimes in the video. Didn't really translate as well. But I thought it was still kind of neat that they went with that. At least attempting and trying to do it. But yeah, I guess don't have much else to talk about except for the story. It's pretty much one of those games that's pretty standard, like shooter with a story and just a couple abilities. There's a lot of them out there.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And the story. So
I'd say this is probably the most unique thing about the game.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's like they're making it into a TV. Well, it's basically a TV show that's interactive. So the story is definitely going to be the main selling point. And so, yeah, this is spoiler territory. So if I'll put up some big spoiler whatever, and if you don't want the story spoiled, don't watch past this point. So yeah, you play as Everyman, the person, also known as Jack Joyce, played by that guy that you've probably seen in that movie.
You'd be like, I recognize him. All right.
Yeah, I swear to God, I've seen him in a ton of shit, but I can't name any of it. Oh yeah, he was in X-Men, pretty much all the X-Men movies. Oh yeah, he's the fucking ice guy from all those movies. Okay, that's who I know, where I know him from. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much him, and you go to talk to your friend who is Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, and he's like, hey, we're friends, you're totally not gonna fuck me over later because everybody knows that's what's gonna happen. And I don't know, I forget where I heard it, but I knew that was gonna happen like immediately. And basically you fuck around with a time machine, and then you both get time powers. And yeah, the basis of the entire game is time is broken, and you've got like it's gonna completely shatter, and everybody's time is gonna break, and everybody's gonna die or something. And your character is like, I'm gonna fix this. And the bad guy is like, I'm gonna build this thing that
all us rich people are gonna go there.
Yeah, and I don't know. They're gonna.
Well, he basically says like they're gonna fix it too, but
he's like they're gonna figure out a way to fix it in this lifeboat thing, and that's kind of the entire thing that the whole thing hinges on. Which I just thought
I could tell by your description.
I thought it was just a little bit weak, like in a real scenario. Like I don't know, maybe like this guy's supposed to be super smart. He's supposed to like have gone through time, like back into the past, and built this huge corporation and is super intelligent, but he doesn't think like, oh, this thing that was made to fix this, I'm just going to use it for something else. I'm not going to actually try to fix time with this. I'm not going to use this what it was made for. I'm going to use it for this other thing. I felt like that was just kind of...
Well, wasn't his reason of not using it or whatever was he just didn't think it would work?
I mean, yeah. I just think that's kind of a flimsy excuse.
It's true. Mitch, you might be getting some spoilers here as well.
It's no problem. You guys might make me more interested in wanting to come back and play the game. So
that's true, since you said you didn't like it that much.
And you've also got X number of characters that you probably don't care about, like Hacker Man.
I actually liked him.
I only saw that first episode, but I hated that character in that first episode.
I hated his opening. I really hated his opening. I don't know.
I only saw the first episode, so I can't say much. But that first episode did not sell me on most of those actors. Most of them felt very.
Not even Martin.
I feel like this game.
The black guy.
No, well, it's Lance Riddick. Like he's always good. Like, he was great, but he's never bad. So I would expect it as much from him.
But no, I'm not going to say that because that's kind of spoilery. But
well, we're in spoilers territory.
Yeah, you can say whatever.
I was going to say like he plays like bad guy.
Yeah, he's like he's the crossing dude.
Yeah, he's the actual. He like wants to end time. He like wants the apocalypse to happen. I think.
Wait, really?
That's the story.
Yes.
What? Why does he want the apocalypse to happen?
Because he thinks like it's inevitable or something. Like
No. I'll tell you, but we shouldn't spoil that right now. Okay. Like the very ending, I think we should go through a little.
Yeah. I made some decisions that I like. One of the decisions that I made that I don't know. I feel like this game has some. Well, okay. So yeah, there are some decisions that you make in this game, and you have some portions of the game where you play as the bad guy. You play as Paul Serene, the guy played by Littlefinger.
Yeah. He's your friend in the story that gets also time powers.
Yeah. He has these time powers, and he's been using them a lot longer than Jack Joyce, the main character man. And so you have points in the story at the end of each chapter where you can kind of look into the future and make a decision that you can kind of tell the outcome from. And each one kind of has its upsides and downsides. And I feel like there were some of them that had much more obvious, like, after you make the decisions, like, oh, this was the right decision. Like, one of the decisions I made, like, when you...
Like the first one.
No, not... Yeah, the first one seemed like the biggest one. But the one I'm talking about specifically is you have a point where you have two characters... And you're like, I need to find out and decide which one of them I'm going to trust and which one of them is trying to fuck me over. And after you make that choice, at least for the choice that I made, it was like, lol, this guy is actually the one who's fucking you over. And the person you thought was fucking you over is actually on your side. And you might have just made a really bad decision. Because I chose to trust Martin Hatch.
Martin Hatch is Lance
the right,
yeah, Lance Reddick.
The right-hand man of Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, and it almost immediately tells you, like, no, he's actually the one who betrayed you and the other person is still on your side. But I had just made the decision to not trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and so they just, like, kind of, like, said right away.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Yep.
Well,
I don't know what happens if you make the other choice, but that was kind of the impression it gave me.
No, it does, because I chose the other choice, but I feel like...
Yeah, I saw that.
More
that's actually something that's kind of that was kind of interesting to me. Is like I could see the decisions that you guys had made.
Yeah, I like.
Or like the first chapter, at least.
I mean, I couldn't see you guys, but I saw one of my friends who already played it.
Yeah, when I was playing through, I saw Nick's and one of my other friends who played the game too. I thought that was really cool that you could like see what your friends chose and also see what the majority of people choose.
Yeah, see how wrong all your friends are.
That's like a lot of
I actually made the same decisions as you guys, like almost every time, except for that one time.
Yeah. Pretty much my reasoning for my choices is like I asked myself, what would Paul do here?
Yeah, that was kind of my choice as well.
Yeah.
Like the first choice you make is to like, do we basically go full evil corporation and kill all the witnesses and just
lock down the place?
Yeah,
that was
take over the town.
Those two choices was like that's a pretty big change.
Yeah, that's a pretty drastic step. So if you choose like full evil corporation, do you just murder the girl reporter character? Is like she not in the rest of the game, or I don't know if any of us actually made that decision.
I didn't make that decision.
I never chose it either, but I would assume there's some way where like she escapes, I think.
Yeah, it kind of seems to be set up that way. Like it kind of goes a different direction, but nothing substantially changes. Kind of.
It's funny. The more we talk about this, the more I actually want to like go back and play the game because you're making it sound more interesting.
What's interesting is like if you go to the choices page that I gave the link for you guys to read, like you can see like major differences and then minor differences for each choice. Seems like
I saw that in the Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of big changes based on some of these choices.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems actually they do change.
I've got a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of stuff I want to complain about though.
So yeah, anyways, like their decision of how they tell the story through the bad guy's eyes, like when you make the decision, I thought that actually added a lot to a story. I'd say not maybe exactly to this story, but just showing the enemy side of you, their perspective, what they're thinking. And then you also get to make the choice that they make. Like, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like humanizes them, and it's like, oh, they're actually like people, and they're not just like the generic bad guys, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, we're just going to tell everybody that this guy's a terrorist because in some ways he is. Like, he murders a lot of people in this game.
Yeah, no, I thought it's the coolest because most games, the character that you're playing makes the choices that affect the game. But they did it the opposite way.
Yeah.
So your character has to play against it, and not like you chose for that character. So
I didn't think about it that way. But yeah, that's pretty interesting that you do it in that reverse direction.
Mm-hmm. So
I definitely thought more about the decision because of that. Like, because it wasn't me. Like, it wasn't my character just making a decision. Because then usually I just feel more willy-nilly about it.
Yeah, that's what made me think of my choices of like, what would this Paul character do to like give himself the advantage over my guy, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I felt like for that first decision, going full evil would not be Paul at all.
Yeah, he definitely seems like, part of me like definitely played him like as a Littlefinger character who is very precise and kind of not very direct about his approach.
I guess I could see the other just version of him too. Like, I haven't played the other version, but I could see that playing out as being like someone sort of like fuck, now I'm gonna blank on names.
I got the character sheet linked.
No, it wasn't. It's from a different game or movie.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. I'll look it up. I'll come back to this.
All right. Just what major events happened in this fucking story? Because I just don't know exactly what specifically about the story I should talk about.
I think each act kind of had its own major story bit. Like, you had the party that you go to. You have the whole introduction to the story at the beginning.
They have side character like storylines going on.
Yeah.
What I liked about when they did the episode versions, there's like a storyline that's going on in the background that doesn't involve your character. Actually, it involves them like twice. One in like the beginning, and then one at the very like end.
Yeah, in fact, most of
basically like explains how that character ended up in that scenario facing you.
Yeah,
and like there's this whole build up. You know who I'm talking about? The Liam guy, the bodyguard.
Yeah,
to save his wife and shit.
I was actually going to complain about him.
I mean, go for it. I just liked how we saw that story about how he ended up at that end place there.
Yeah, I just thought it was so funny about his character. Like, he's basically like, he's supposed to be like the character that you connect with, but he's also like literally almost invincible. Like, he murders like 50 guys and only gets like injured a bit.
Dude, he got injured hardcore, but like,
yeah, but still,
I don't know how he was still moving.
Yeah, but still, he's escorting this woman somewhere, and along the way he just murders like 20 guys, and it's like, oh yeah, he's a member of their elite force. Well, is every single other member of their security force like handicapped or something?
Yeah.
Is he the only competent one in their entire like security force? I mean, apparently he is, but also like,
where's the other elites?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of who their elites are. Their elites are the striker guys, and I think he murders like a couple of them.
Well, from hearing you guys talk about more, it definitely seems like I just did not get far enough into the game to get more interested in a lot of stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, like, I have a problem with a lot of TV shows like this, is you start watching and you aren't really invested with the characters. Yeah, you're just not invested with the characters of the story. but if you stick with it long enough, you can you get invested with the characters in the story, and then you kind of want to see where the story goes and everything. And I definitely needed to get like to the last couple of chapters to actually get to that point, but I don't know.
Where you're at, Mitch, like a lot more time stuff happens, and I don't know if you face the enemies yet, but like they like have their own little time shit that they strap on their backs.
Yeah, I never saw any of those guys.
Yeah, so some soldiers like those. So like when a fracture happens and everything's at a standstill, like those guys can actually move through it and will fucking fight.
Interesting.
So yeah, they got like some heavy security guys like that in like the basement of their corporation and all that shit for their testing.
I kind of thought that was a little bit interesting. Like you would have a fracture happen, and there would just be these like time cop dudes that come in and fight you, and then the fracture would end, and then you got to fight all the regular guys who were like paralyzed in the time stop thing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I wish I could have just gone through and just shot everybody while they were frozen, like
right.
You know. Or you could have just gone through and like taken their guns or something, because you can. But only if it's like an area where you're not going to be fighting those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's little stuff like that kind of annoys me. But overall, yeah, story is okay. I definitely don't think it's a $40 game. Certainly not. But
yeah,
if you're going to pick it up for like $10, $15, yeah, I think it's a fine game. Like a couple of movies strapped together, or a TV series. I think that's worth $10 to $15. I think that's worth $10 to $15.
I want to talk about Hatch real quick. So what I was saying, like towards the end of the game, one of the interactable items, or
wait, who's Hedge?
Hatch.
Lance Red.
Paul's secondhand man.
That guy. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the interactable items, like towards the end of the game, is just this note that's on this desk, and I just happened to go read it, and shit, what did it say? It said something that basically noted that Hatch also had time abilities.
Really?
He's apparently called a shifter. So one of his reasons is to like have the time break is like he's apparently like some sort of different being and thinks like Earth is ready to evolve and wants time to break or some shit.
He's basically like the same as that guy who was in the tank they had.
Something, yeah, like that. I brought up Martin Hatch, and as it reads here, he is a hostile life form distorted by the Chronon energy. He can control like multiple of themselves, and apparently his eye drops is infused with the Chronon. So that's why he keeps using them, I guess.
Oh. I thought he also just had Chronon sickness, like the main bad guy, because they were just both exposed to it so much.
Yeah. So yeah, he apparently has the same abilities as them.
Like that's actually interesting, and I wish that
see that what sucks
that
is
sort of information wasn't mixed in with all that boring shit, like
exactly.
Somebody sending somebody an email about like, oh, we got to get that Chronon shipment to the place for the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so
I do like when stories like mix in some of that like actually interesting information into like the background, but I wish it had just been not mixed in with a bunch of boring stuff.
I feel like that's just something games struggle with in general, is trying to make that mix.
Yeah, it was like so terrible there because Zach, you'd even know.
The
only reason I knew was because I just happened to click E on that thing. And to see like he wrote a note exactly to me talking about all this crazy shit. So yeah, so dumb to do that. Because I don't think there was any other indication that he had the powers.
Yeah, it did not. Had no indication. I feel like, if you had a couple of more pieces of information like that sprinkled in, I feel like playing the game, like it would actually make the game worth playing again. Like it's almost worth playing again to see like some of the different decisions and stuff and like what happens. But I don't know.
Oh, I do want to say like one part that I think they used it well was when you're in Paul's like office at his corporate headquarters or whatever shit. where you see that whole time map laid out.
Oh, I thought that was actually super cool.
Yeah, I think that's where they did it well because like it's eye-catching. It totally makes you want to go see, like looking on the board. And he had everything timed out, Mitch, from like how many years was it?
I think it was like 17 years or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it like went back time in 17 years and then did this whole timeline of what happened until like 2016.
Yeah,
it even includes real life events like 9/11 and everything, and like when stocks hit. So like he's like invest in this stock at this date because it's about to like boom or something. So that's how he built his corporation.
Oh my god!
Like the .com bubble and stuff like that. And
that's
it's basically
really
like kind of goes through how he's like the whole kind of thing is that he went back in time to set up this corporation specifically because he knew that all of this stuff would happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of his attempting to like fix time, which honestly, like if you have this multi-billion-dollar corporation like trying to figure out how to fix time, how can you not just create one of those things? Why do you have to like wait for this one random guy to create it for you? I don't know. That's
their whole lifeboat thing, like they spent the time creating that. Like that thing's insane. Like basically the lifeboat is just some weird warehouse that have a bunch of makeshift rooms for all these scientists to go in, and they'll be safe there from the time fracture or from time breaking. Yeah. And like time will happen regularly there, and they'll just keep on working on a solution to fix the time.
But the whole thing is that they need this piece of technology. I forget what it's called, but it's like this little box thing that
the hexagonal.
Well, that will actually make this whole thing work. And it was invented by the main character's brother because he's the guy who originally invented the time machine. And I thought that was actually kind of interesting, like going through all of his notes about like how he invented it and like his experiments and stuff. I thought that was all very interesting.
Yeah, I liked that.
And like, yeah, it's like, why can't you just use your multi-billion-dollar corporation to invent that? Or something better than that that'll actually like fix the time fracture or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that
wasn't it like one of those kind of double scenarios? Like
oh yeah, like somebody went back in time and told him to invent that or something.
Yeah, because that's what happened to Beth, the redhead girl.
Because like confusing parts like that.
Yeah, time broke, and then as that was all happening, Beth got sent back way in time and then told Paul about time breaking, so that's when he made the device.
Not only did she do that, she went back in time and gave herself a book as a small child and was like, hey, everything in this book is going to happen. You need to become this character. So it's like kind of like she creates her own personality or something. Weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird like that.
And then her time, like when she goes through those 17 years after going back in time, like she's all fucked up or some shit.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's
completely changes.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I feel like it would make you look more different. Like she basically looks the same. And same with like the main bad guy. It's like, oh yeah, I went back in time and aged 17 years. Like how old is everybody in this game? Like, are they just did they stay the same? Like, do they look the same age between the ages of like 20 and 45 or something?
Well, Paul, I think, definitely had a lot more gray hair.
Yeah.
But Beth did not change. She just looked like a bum.
Yeah, she just got the hobo treatment.
Yeah, she just let me put this beanie on and this jacket.
Yeah. Can you tell I don't work for a corporation anymore?
Take my ponytail out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this happened for you, but the hacker guy, I did not see this coming at all, is when he died. I don't know if that happened for you.
It was kind of surprising, and honestly, it was kind of like I feel like he was a very wishy-washy character. It's like, oh, I work for the corporation now. Oh, I'm gonna help this girl because I like her. Like, oh, now I'm just gonna go back to the lifeboat facility because I'm a coward. No, now I'm gonna help them. I feel like he was just jumping around a lot as a character, but I
understood, like, because he thought she was using him, so he was really mad about that.
Yeah.
you found out like all the truths.
That they could actually like save the world, and he's like, I'm gonna be a hero, and then bam, just gets shot in the head.
Yeah, that I was like, holy fuck,
straight domed.
That surprised me.
I have a feeling that I should play this game now.
Yeah,
I probably won't anytime
It doesn't even
soon.
take that long to finish. Like,
Yeah,
how long have you been playing it?
Like 2 hours.
Like,
what I did was I just played an act because it usually took an hour.
Yeah,
it depends if you fail a bunch of times and die.
I guess I could just try doing
took like
act at
an
a time.
hour, and then I just watch the episode, and then I'd be done, and then I'll play like a couple days later and just do another act, watch episode, done.
That's what I should probably do. That probably may help me get through the whole thing a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like I played like an act a day for like a couple of days, and then when I got to the end, I was actually like invested a little bit, so I played like the last couple of acts because I thought the game was actually a lot longer than it was. I thought it had 10 acts.
Oh, wow.
But I think I got like the number of acts mixed up with like the number of hours you said it would take. And I think you said at one point it was like a 10-hour game, but I finished it in like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, I have 8 hours on it.
Oh yeah, did either of you guys play their games they made before, like Alan Wake?
Yes. I played a bit of Alan Wake.
Alan Wake sucks. Gameplay.
Yeah, Alan Wake didn't have the best gameplay.
I think it had better gameplay than this. At least a little bit more variety.
No, dude.
No, it was not better.
Flashlight.
Yeah, it had like light mechanics and stuff.
It was the worst. I hated it. It got so repetitive.
I mean, it did.
It got repetitive, but I was more invested in in that story and the character.
Yeah. No, the story was great. I'm just.
That's why I wanted to get Quantum Break, because I liked Alan Wake, and so I thought I would like Quantum Break, which is why I still think I will like it. I just have to get through it.
Maybe. Aren't they making a second Alan Wake? Thought they were.
They made Alan Wake American Nightmare, and now they're working on a new game called, I don't remember what it was called. Let's see, Remedy.
I don't have anything else to talk about Quantum Break.
Oh, Control. The new game's called Control. That one looks interesting.
Anything else?
Nope, not for me.
How did this game end? Like, I know they put the time machine together, they fixed time. What happened after that?
I think it was pretty ambiguous. I think it just kind of I think like once you hit it, it just kind of goes off from there. It just like goes white.
No, because he's talking like the whole point of the game is he's describing it to somebody at Monarch.
He was like doing this interview,
and then Hatch comes up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to work for Monarch, or do you just want to kind of fuck off or whatever?"
Yeah.
And I don't think you actually get to make that choice. It kind of just leaves it hanging. And
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because I think they're hoping for a second game, so they're kind of leaving it open.
Yeah, they leave it hanging a little bit, but I mean, obviously you get into this big confrontation with Paul, Serene, Littlefinger, and you murder him, and you fix time, and that's it. So it definitely is kind of one of those games where the decisions don't matter, but you do affect things in the game, and that kind of makes it interesting. I wonder, none of your decisions actually change stuff in the live action parts, right?
I
think it would actually change stuff.
No, I think there is, because it's saying something about one of the choices I saw, a character dies, so I don't know.
I think that's one of the this is one of those few times where it's actually
Oh no, it would definitely change, because that one girl wouldn't do the interview if you ended up executing all the people. So then she wouldn't be on TV.
I think that's definitely one of the reasons that this game would be worth playing again, just to make all the other decisions and seeing how that actually changes the game. And since you're already invested in the story and you recognize these characters and you kind of understand more of the information, it would make playing it again a little bit more interesting. So maybe I'll actually play a few chapters again, kind of see how that changes stuff around. But final thoughts on the game? Worth it?
I don't know yet.
Yeah. Fuck you, Mitch. I wasn't asking you. You didn't finish the game.
Even though I sort of liked it. I still don't think it's well worth. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
It's one of those games that I don't really have any feelings towards one way or another.
I feel like this game is more for people who are not like me. Because I like games that have a lot of like gameplay to them and like where it seems like your actions actually have consequences, and like I don't know. I feel like if I'm playing a video game, I want it to be super interactive. And if I'm watching a TV show, I want it to not be interactive. I just want to sit back and watch a story.
And it's somewhere in between.
And this is somewhere in between, and I don't think it does. I think the story was okay, but I don't think the gameplay was super fine. So I think I would almost prefer this to just be like a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for $10 to $15, depending on what kind of games you like, it could be worth it. I mean, it's definitely not a kind of game that I would normally play, and I guess I'm glad that I did play it. Kind of broadens my horizons a little bit. So
yeah. You
can make your own decisions. If anybody who's watching this in the future kind of like time travel, you know, I actually put in the I think it was the description, like I actually fucked this part up, but it's like, we're going back, Marty. We're going back to 2015. Well, this game actually came out in 2016 to talk about this game about time punching fools in the freaking face. Also, if anybody watching this in the future, all you young kids out there, if you have not seen the movie Back to the Future, fix that. It is the greatest movie of all time. It's not actually true, but it's a really good movie, and you'll get a lot of references that you probably wouldn't normally get. All right. Yeah. Is that everything we good to?
Yeah, I
think so.
Nothing else.
All right. Cool. We're out.